guys, welcome back. So today's video is a follow-up from my last video I posted, which was 5 things I love in thrillers. This video is going to be the opposite. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 things that I really do not like in thrillers. Coming up. So the first thing I just can't stand in thrillers / mysteries is when there are just too many coincidences. It's just like, oh my god, there happened to be a clue like right there, or like these two people just happened to meet at this like random place, and it just makes the story not as believable. Like, I think obviously with any kind of mystery or thriller, there is some degree of this. Like, there's some degree of some things just has to happen and you just have to suspend disbelief a little bit, but there is a limit, okay? Like, if everything is a coincidence, there's just too much. It can go too far, and that's the first thing. The second thing I don't like in thrillers is when there are too many characters. So normally when I'm reading a thriller or a mystery, I keep a running list of all the characters, and the reason I do this is because sometimes the characters end up being really central to the plot, in which case it's not really necessary. But going into it, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's going to be 5 characters or there's going to be 50 characters. And I don't know, like, 2 chapters from now, how hard it's going to be to remember these characters that are being brought up. So I like to keep a track of all of the characters that are talked about in the book. For me, I really don't like it when there's so many characters where it's like, yeah, maybe this unexpected person is the criminal, is the culprit, is the murderer, whatever. But we've only talked about them for like 1 paragraph, and that's the whole extent of backstory that we have about this person. I feel like it just makes it not quite as interesting, because I feel like when you have so many characters, yes, it does have the advantage of being harder to guess the person who did the crime or guess what happened because there's so many possibilities. But the flip side of that is it makes the reader, at least for me, it makes me feel less invested in any of the characters, where, like, even if the outcome is something surprising, it's something that I just don't even care about. Like, the ending will happen and it'll just be like, yeah, okay, interesting, who cares kind of thing. So yeah, I really don't like it when there's just so many characters. The third thing that I don't like in thrillers is when there is a really slow pace. There are certain kinds of books that I don't mind, like a slower, meandering kind of pace, where it kind of explores different areas, goes down some different avenues that aren't necessarily connected to the core plot. I think a thriller needs to be fast-paced like 95% of the time. Like, unless it's just stellar in every other area, like maybe it can get by with a slower pace. But I think for most thrillers, it has to be fast-paced to be entertaining. And that's number 3. Now, the fourth thing that I don't like in thrillers or mysteries, for that matter, is when the main character that we're following really has no skin in the game. Like, I think this mainly comes about with detective novels, where it's like, okay, there's a detective who's finding out the clues, who's telling the story, but they're not personally involved in the mystery. Like, there needs to be something else that's super compelling about the story, because if the narrator doesn't care and it's just like a job to them, or they're just stumbling across things by accident, it's just hard. It's just hard to get invested in it as a reader. So that's number 4. The 5th thing that has kind of become more and more annoying to me the more times I've read it. And I don't want to tell you specific books where this is in because it could be a spoiler, but I don't like it when the main character, there's an unreliable narrator because of some sort of mental illness. Like, I feel like I've read so many books recently where it's an unreliable female main character who has some sort of mental illness and then is also like a drug addict or an alcoholic. Like, okay, like I get it that there are, like, there's only so many ways to make a narrator unreliable in a believable way. And I think having some sort of mental illness or having a drug issue or something is a way to do that that is like somewhat believable in a sense, but it just kind of feels like a cheap shot to me. Like, I don't know, like to make mental illness into like a plot device to make someone unreliable, I don't know, it just feels a little bit icky to me. It just feels a little slimy. Like, I get it. I've read books that have this element that I actually really liked, but the more times I've read it, it's just gotten old. So that's it. Those are 5 things I don't like in thrillers. Let me know down below if you can relate to any of these things, or if you have other things that maybe I'm forgetting off my list. I'd love to know your thoughts. And that's it. If you like mysteries and thrillers and videos like this, I have a whole lot more videos like this on my channel. I have a lot of 3-minute thriller reviews where I do full spoiler-free book reviews of a lot of new releases of mysteries and thrillers, and I do it in less than 3 minutes. So if you like that, check out those on my channel. And that's it. Until next time. Bye, guys.